Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar session. In today's session, we are going to talk about getting started with Zoho Analytics. My name is Pavitra, and I'm a pre sales engineer with Zoho Analytics. So, let's get started with the session in another couple of minutes. So, let's wait for the rest of the attendees to join the session. In the meantime, if you have any difficulties in viewing the screen or with the audio, you can drop it in the question box of GoToWebinar control panel so that I can address that before we get into the session. So I believe there is no issue with the audio or in viewing the screen. So let's get started with the session for today. Before moving on to the session, let's quickly have a look at the agenda for today's session. In today's session, we will see what is analytics, why one should go for Zoho Analytics, introduction to Zoho Analytics. We'll discuss about the features in Zoho Analytics, followed by which we'll have the product demonstration on a business use case. Then we'll have a look at the pricing, and at last we'll have the Q&A session. To begin with, what is analytics? Analytics is essential for those who see the data as a gold mine. So when you have a large set of raw data, and if you would like to derive some insightful information from that, then analytics is going to be of great use. So in Zoho Analytics, or be it any analytical tool, you can derive insightful information in the form of visualization, which helps you in making data-driven business decision making. So when you have the data in the form of raw data, a huge chunk of data, you will not be able to get any insights from that. So you need analytics for that so that you will be getting the visualization which will help you in making the decisions. So now let's see Zoho Analytics overview. So Zoho Analytics is a cloud-based business intelligence tool which offers analytics and insightful information. So Zoho Analytics has been there in the market for more than a decade, and we are one of the pioneers in the BI space. Currently, Zoho Analytics has got 1 million plus active users, and among which we have 6,000 plus paid customers. So for the good work which Zoho Analytics has been doing so far, we have been awarded by some of the top software reviewers platforms such as Trust Radius, GetApp, and Jita Crowd. We are also been awarded by the BARC and the BI survey. Now, let's move on to the key features in Zoho Analytics. Zoho Analytics comprises of three key features. The first is getting the data into Zoho Analytics platform. Zoho Analytics supports data import from a wide range of data sources. And also, when you have your data situated across multiple data sources, it is possible to blend the data from all these data sources and create reports and dashboards. So once we have the data ready in the Zoho Analytics platform, the next thing that we are going to do is visualizing this data in multiple forms. So in Zoho Analytics, you will be able to visualize your data in the form of charts, widgets, and also as a dashboard. The third feature is about the sharing and the collaboration. So once we have the required reports and dashboards with us in Zoho Analytics, there are a lot of ways how you can share and collaborate them with the end user. Now, let's also take a look at some of the other features in Zoho Analytics. So the first feature that I'm going to explain is about the forecasting. In Zoho Analytics, we have a predefined algorithm which helps you to forecast the data for the future based on the past data trends. So, how your business has been performing in the future, you will be able to see the predictions for how your data has been performing in the past, you will be able to see the predictions for the future. So, purely depending upon the data trend, the algorithm works and predicts it for the future. So you have an option to predict the data for future months or for the quarter or even for the future 10 days or something like that. The next feature is about the ZIA. Zoho Analytics has a very interesting feature called AZIA. AZIA is an artificial intelligence and machine learning tool which helps you in creating reports and dashboards. So Zia is really helpful because it is so brilliant enough to create reports based on the questions that you type in or you voice out. So you can just use the natural English language to say the question, and Zia has the ability to interpret the questions in the form of SQL queries, which in turn gets converted into relevant reports. The third feature which we have is about the data alerts. In Zoho Analytics, you have an option to trigger alerts based on the data values which you have on the reports. So if you want to be updated and keep yourself updated with what is happening with the business, you can always prefer to choose the data alert option. So when the value is so and so, I need an alert to be triggered. So if my sales amount is going down, I need an alert to be triggered. So I need to take some precautionary measure in order to overcome that. So those kind of metrics you can easily take care of using this feature called data alerts. And at last, we have a feature called snapshotting. So Zoho Analytics supports the snapshot feature, which helps you to view the data on a periodic interval. For instance, let's imagine we have a sales company where the customers place order and then we ship the order and it gets delivered to the customer. So this particular process of the order reaching the customer goes on a stage by stage basis. So what we need is we need to know what is happening at each stage. So snapshot is a technique which helps you in capturing the information on a stage by stage process. So I'm placing 10 orders, I'm shipping out 8 orders, and only 5 order get delivered on the next day. So there are 3 orders which are pending. So when I take a look at this snapshot, I can easily compare what has happened in between. So like that, you can create snapshots for any number of records and keep yourself updated with what is happening. So now let's move on to the product demonstration part. So let me take you to the Zoho Analytics homepage. So before that, let me show you a sample dashboard. So by the end of today's session, we will also be creating an insightful dashboard similar to this. So this is a dashboard which is created using Zoho Analytics. So we have widgets here. So all these are the widgets, all small rectangular boxes. So when you have any key metrics in your business and if you want to highlight them, then you can go ahead with this widget option. And you have a lot of reporting options here. You have a line chart, you have a trend chart, funnel chart, bar chart. So let's see how to do all this in today's session. So what I have on the screen is Zoho Analytics homepage. So the URL is going to be analytics.zoho.com. With regard to Zoho Analytics, we use certain terminologies. So let's discuss about those terminologies before we get into the session. The first one I'm going to discuss is about the workspaces. So workspaces are more like a folder where you have the data along with all the reports and dashboards that you generate on them. So when you see this particular page, you can see there are a lot of workspaces I have. So whenever you import a data, you will be prompted to create a workspace. So these are all some of the workspaces which I have in my Zoho Analytics account. And if you would like to combine the data from multiple data sources, you can put them all under a single workspace and create reports. So there is no limit on the number of workspaces which you are going to create. The next one is about the dashboards. So dashboards are nothing but a single page viewer where you have multiple reports put together. For instance, when I open this particular dashboard, this dashboard comprises of a lot of reports. So basically, I've created this dashboard with multiple reports put together, right? So this is how a dashboard looks like. So under this dashboard tab, you will have all the dashboard, whichever is present in your Zoho Analytics account. The third one is about the recent items tab. Under recent items tab, you will be able to see the recently accessed reports and dashboards. So you'll be able to track up to 20 recently accessed items like reports, dashboards, pivot views, everything. So now let's move on to the demonstration part. As we discussed earlier, the first and the foremost step what we are going to do is import the data into our Zoho Analytics platform. To import data into Zoho Analytics platform, you have to click on this import your data option on the top right. So when you click on this option, you will get to see a list of business applications with which you can directly integrate Zoho Analytics. So Zoho Analytics support direct integration with some of the top softwares like Zero, Teamwork, you have Shopify, Google AdWords, Facebook, and also other Zoho applications like Zoho CRM, Zoho Books, Zoho People, Zoho Projects, and so on. So as I mentioned earlier, you can also blend the data across these applications and create insightful reports and dashboards. Apart from integrating with the business applications, if you have your records somewhere in the cloud database or in the local database, you will be able to import them as well. So for today's demonstration, I'm going to get my data from the cloud drive. So in order to get the data from cloud drive, I can choose the corresponding option here, and you can okay, you can provide some workspace name here. So this is purely optional. You can give any name. So let me just name it this way, and you can choose the location. So I have my data in Zoho Docs. If you have it in OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, you can choose the corresponding option and you can browse the file here. So the files which are supported are CSV, Excel, and you can also have it, you can choose a file here and then you can click on create. So in the next step, you will be able to see that Zoho Analytics provides you an overview of the table here. So when you have multiple sheets associated in an Excel file, you can select the sheets here. So for that, you'll be given an option. And when you click on next, you get to see an option to provide the name for the table. So I just want to name this as orders, and you can see the values are mapped to the corresponding data type. So if you would like to change the data type of any particular field, you can choose it here. So you can also set up the format here, in which format you would like to view this data. So everything will be available here. Okay, you can choose the corresponding option, and so I this is going to be in the date format, so I can choose the date here. So you can choose the format in which the data lies here. Okay, so I have it in the form of this, so I'm going to choose this format and then click on Okay. So there are a lot of formats available here. So you can choose the one which meets your data type, and then you can click on create. So here you might have noticed that I have an option called schedule this import. So schedule this import option helps you in getting the data at periodic interval. Since I'm going to import this data from my local drive, from the cloud drive, I will be able to schedule this import. So when I schedule this import, the data will be automatically fetched from the source into Zoho Analytics platform. The advantage here is you don't have to manually fetch the data every time. Rather, it will be fetched on a periodic basis. So here you will be able to see different options. How do you want to import this data? So if you want to import this data on a periodic basis, like um, on a weekly basis or every day, right? You can choose the option correspondingly. So I want this data to be imported on hourly basis. So in terms of cloud drive, you will be able to import the data on an hourly basis as well. So every 1 hour you can get the data, and then you also have an option for time zone, in which time zone you want. Then you would have noticed that on the top we have the import type. So import type refers to the operation which needs to be performed when the new data comes into the picture, right? So the option which we have got here are four different options. One is import the data, and so let me show you that. So add records at the end, or delete existing record and add new data, or you just add the new data and replace whatever is existing. So depending upon the operation which you would like to perform, you can choose the corresponding option here. Then you can click on save option. So when you click on save, the import option will be saved and the data will be imported into Zoho Analytics platform. So as a result, this is how it is going to look like. So we will have the data here imported into our Zoho Analytics platform. So this is the data which I imported now. So this is basically a superstore sales data where you have the region wise, customer wise, what is the sales, what is the cost, when the order was placed, when it got shipped. So every single detail about a particular order will be available in this particular table. So as I mentioned earlier, in Zoho Analytics, you have an option to create reports from multiple tables. For now, I have the orders table, which has the details about the orders, but I do have another piece of information located at my local drive. So if I had to combine the data from these two tables and create reports, the first and the foremost thing that I have to do is I need to join the tables. So let me show you how to join the tables after importing the other table here. So currently we just have one table. I'm going to import another table, but I'm going to do that within the same workspace. So under this workspace itself, I'm going to click on create and choose new table or import data. So you can choose a file here, what you want to import. So you can choose it here and click on open and click on next. So again, you can provide some name for this particular table and then click on create. Since I'm importing from my local drive, you might have noticed that I don't have an option to schedule this import. So only for the data from cloud or any cloud-based application, you will have this option. And again, when you're importing from any cloud-based business application, the minimum sync time is going to be for every 3 hours. So once in every 3 hours, the data will be fetched from the source into Zoho Analytics platform. And as a result, all the reports and dashboards will be refreshed based on that. So now that we have the data from the other table as well. So the data which I have in this particular table is salesperson data. So for each and every region, I have a salesperson. So if I had to monitor how this particular person has performed on the basis of the sales amount, so in that case, I need the data from this table as well. So what we are going to do now is we are going to join these two tables. So in Zoho Analytics, tables can be joined in two ways. One is using the SQL queries. So if you're well versed with SQL queries, you can write queries to join the tables. Or otherwise, we have a feature called auto join, which helps you in joining tables within a workspace. So to join any table, we need to figure out the primary field. So in this case, we have the region field, which is present both in my orders table and also in my region table. So I can select this particular field, click on more and choose change to lookup column. So in the drop down, I need to choose the table and the field with which I would like to create the lookup. So I'm going to create lookup with region field from orders table and click on OK. So now what happens is both the table will be joined using this particular region field. In order to view that, you can click on more and choose model diagram, which gives you an overview how the tables are joined. Going back, the next thing that we are going to see is in Zoho Analytics, you have an option to create some formula. So if I had to calculate anything, I can make use of this formula column option. For instance, we have sales here, right? We have sales, we have profit, right? So if I would like to calculate anything, so I just wanted to know the 10% of the sales amount or 20% of the sales amount. So I can easily do that using this particular formula column option. So let me show you how to create such kind of formulas in Zoho Analytics. In order to create any formula, you can click on add option and choose formula column. So in Zoho Analytics, there are a lot of built-in analytical functions which are available. So this is how the add formula column dialog box looked like. Here you have the columns and the functions tab. Under columns, you will be able to see all the fields in that particular table. And under functions, you can see the list of all the analytical function. So if you would like to find the day of a particular date, you can make use of the corresponding function here. Or you have two time fields and then you want to find the difference between the two date fields, you can use the option date and time difference. So in this particular data, what I have is order date and shipment date. So I just wanted to know when the order was placed and when it has been shipped. What is the duration between the two? So for that, we are going to create a formula. So I can make use of this function called date and time difference. So if you would like to know the syntax for any particular function, you can just hover the mouse and you can see the function here. So I want the order date and I want the shipment date. So you can choose the option here, and here we have the ship date and I have the order date, and I just name this as duration in days. Okay, and yeah, click on save. So this particular formula helps me in calculating the data. So you can specify how you want this data to be. I want it as days. Okay, so you can specify in which format you want this data and you can get the value. So yes, so this is going to calculate the value now. So let's take a look at this. So this is the duration table, right? So the values are calculated for the difference between this order date and the shipment date. So since we have given days, it gets the data in days. If you want the term of month or quarter, you can give the corresponding value there. So this is how we create formulas in Zoho Analytics. Now moving on, let's see how to create some insightful reports using Zoho Analytics. To create any report in Zoho Analytics, you can click on create option on the top right, sorry, top left, and you have the list of all the reporting options. So if you want to graphically represent your data, you can choose chart view, or if you want it in the form of a summarized table, you can select pivot view. And if you want a summary view, you can choose the corresponding option. And at last, we have the dashboard. So let's see all of this one by one. First, let me choose chart view. And here in this option, you can choose a table on which you would like to create this report. So I want this particular report to be created on orders table. So the chart which we are going to create now is a sales trend chart. I just wanted to see how the sales trend has been over a period of time across different regions. So for that, I'm going to create this report. Creating chart report in Zoho Analytics is very simple. All that we are going to do is just drag and drop the fields into the corresponding X and Y axis. So you might have noticed that towards my left, I have all the tables and the fields. Since we have joined both the tables, we can drag and drop the fields across the table to create this report. So I want to see the sales trend. So I'm going to pick this order date and drop it under X axis. And we have this profit. So if you want, you can drop the profit value. And if you want this data for different quarters or different month, you can click on the drop down and you can choose the corresponding value. And I want this data to be represented across different region. So since I would like to highlight each region in different colors, I drop it under color shelf. Okay, so this is what you get. You get the data for different region, and you also have an option to switch across different chart types. So you can choose the chart type of your choice. So you have area chart, you have bar chart. There are a lot of chart options available here. And if you would like to highlight any other values, you can drop it under the corresponding shells. So this particular report gets me the profit across different quarters and also across different region. So I have the data till quarter 3 of 2019. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to explore about the other option, that is filters and user filter. So if I would like to filter this report based on a particular criteria, then I can make use of this filters option. So I have my data across different category. So I have different product categories: furniture, office supplies, and technology. So if I would like to filter this data only for the category technology, I can select this option and generate. So by default, this particular filter category will be applied to my report. The other scenario is if I would like to let the end user to interact with the report, that is, I give them the privilege to choose any filter value when they are viewing the report. In that case, I can make use of this user filter option. So what happens in this case is the end user, whoever is going to view this report, they will be able to interact with the report using this option. So if someone is interested in knowing about the office supplies, they can choose the corresponding option and view the data accordingly. Apart from this, you also have few more customizations available here. You can click on settings on the top right. The first option which we have is title for this report. So profit trend chart is a title which I would like to give. Then if you want to provide some description, you can give it here, followed by which we have the axis. So if you would like to modify the X and Y axis value, you can give it here. Then we have the borders and colors, followed by which the format option. So format option helps you in formatting the values what you display on the report. Then comes the legend. So Zoho Analytics provides you an option to give or set colors of your choice. So you can choose any colors of your choice in this particular report. Okay, you can select any particular color and you can view the data accordingly. So I've chosen a color like this, right? So if you would like to modify the colors, you can click on the color option and you can choose the corresponding option here. So if you have any predefined palette, you can also choose those palettes, or otherwise you can go ahead with the palette which you already have. Okay. So this is about the option here. So you have a lot of coloring options. For instance, I just want to create my own color palette. You can easily do do that as well. So you will have the option to choose a color and accordingly do it here. Okay, and this is how it looks like. And there are also other options called threshold. So since I'm running a business, I always have a target. I work towards my target, my goal. So if a chart can help me in letting me know whether I met the target or not, how easy it is for me to understand how my business is doing. So such kind of analysis you can do in Zoho Analytics. Here you have an option where you can set up the target line. So for instance, every month my target is $750. Okay, that is going to be my target. So I can type in the option as 750 here and target. So what happens is the target will be highlighted in an horizontal line here. So you can just type in the value here and give some name and you will be able to see the value here. So this like this you can have up to 4 target lines. So this is the first target, second target. So you can easily monitor which particular region has met the target and where am I lagging. So all those analysis you can do using this target option. Then we have the drill down feature. So drill down lets you to analyze the data in depth. For instance, I have my data across different region here, right? So if I would like to analyze a particular data point in depth, so what made my profit to go down in that month or what actually worked there that pushed my target up. So those kind of analysis you can do using this drill down feature. So let's see how to do the drill down option here. So to drill down, you can specify the path here. You can currently we have across different month, so I just different quarters, so I just want to go across different months. On that particular month I want to go by different week, and for a particular week I want to go across different segment. So like that you can specify the values here, so how you would like to drill down this particular data and click on apply. So now when I click on a particular data point, I will be able to analyze this data in depth. For this particular quarter of 2019 quarter 4, I want to go across different months, and at any point of time I'll also be able to modify the type of chart that I have. Then again I go by different week, then again I go by different segment, right? Then you can go by different states. So this is how you drill down a particular data in multiple levels and view it accordingly. So let's go back. You can also have any value here. So earlier I mentioned there was we have a feature called forecasting, right? So let's see how this forecasting works in Zoho Analytics. So in order to forecast any data, you need to have a date field under x-axis and values under y-axis. The color shelf should be empty in that case. Okay, so now let's see how to forecast this data. So you have to click on settings and you have this forecast option. So I just want to forecast the profit for the next 6 quarters, and I want to ignore the current quarter because it's the ongoing quarter. I just ignore and click on apply. So when you take a look at this particular report, you can see that Zoho Analytics has forecasted the data for the future based on the past data trends. So how my business has been doing at the past, my data for the future has been predicted. So this is how you forecast the data. So once you are done with the report, you can hit on save icon and you can give some name and you can save this report. The next thing that I'm going to show here is about the pivot view. So the next report type is pivot view. Creating pivot view is also very simple. In Zoho Analytics, we have this drag and drop interface for all the report creation process. So all that you have to do is just drag and drop the reports and you get the data accordingly. So here, when you take a look at this pivot view option, you get 3 different shelves: column shelf, row shelf, and data shelf. So all that I'm going to do is just drag and drop the fields into the corresponding shelf and design the report in whichever way I want. When I drop a particular field under this column shelf, I will be able to see the data across different columns. So we have shipping data, right? So there are different modes how I ship my data. So when I drop this ship mode under columns, the different modes will be shown as individual columns here. They become the column headers. Then I need the order date. So basically, I'm going to create a summary report across different months. So how many orders has been placed, how much sales does it fetch, and how it has been fetched, how it has been shipped. Okay, and I want this data across different segments. So since I've dropped it under row shelf, the values will be shown as rows here. You can design it in whichever order. First, I want the segment, then I want the year, then I want the data. So this is purely customizable. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the sales value here and click on generate. So you get to see the sales across different years for each and every segment divided across different ship modes. So you can also choose average sales or what is the average profit. You can also have multiple fields here, right? So I want to see the average sales and average profit for each and every ship mode. Similar to chart report, you do have this filters and user filter option. So if I want to view this data only for a couple of ship mode, I can select that and I get the data for that. And if I want the end user to interact, then I can make use of this user filter feature. Okay, so this is about the report which we have. So you can keep adding multiple informations here, not just one. So you can drop this region under user filter. So the user will be able to interact with the report based on that. Another interesting feature which we have with this pivot reports are you can apply some conditional formatting here. So based on the condition, the color of the values will be changing. So for instance, if the average profit is going to be greater than $50, I want it to be highlighted in green color, right? So you can set up the color here. You can give some text color, and if it is going to be less than 50, I want it to be highlighted in red color. Okay. So very few places I have the profit actually being generated, right? So when you want to make any quick business decision, just by looking at the report, you can see whether your business is outperforming or you're not meeting the target. All those information you can easily analyze using this conditional formatting option. So once this is done, you can click on save icon to save this report. So I want to name this report as sales summary across ship mode. So this is about the pivot report. Now let's move on to another part, that is our Zia. As I mentioned earlier, Zia helps you in creating report based on any text commands that you provide. So you can click on Ask Zia option, and here you can post any question to Zia. Either you can type in the question or you can also use this voice option. So I'm going to tell Zia, show me top 10 customer name by profit across category. So Zia will fetch me the data in such a way that I can understand. So across different product category, it has listed the top 10 customer name based on the profit value. So if you would like to modify this report just by profit, it gets you the profit report, and you can also change the type of report here, however you want. There are a lot of report option, right? Chart options. You can change the chart option, or if you would like to save this report, you can just hit on save icon and save this report. So this is about the Zia feature. So till now we saw how to create different reports manually. Zoho Analytics has also got another feature called auto analysis. So instead of you creating this custom reports, Zoho Analytics is ready to provide you a set of reports based on the data that you have. So you can click on create and choose with auto analysis option. You can select the table. So now what happens is Zoho Analytics will try to create every possible report on the data which you have. So when I click on OK, the system creates a lot of reports for you. It also creates some ready-made dashboards for you. So you can either make use of the reports which is already available or create custom reports as I showed you before. So this option is going to be of great use because you can see that Zoho Analytics has created reports in a way which you have never imagined about. So country-wise profit, which is a map chart, ship mode, right? So you have a data which tells you ship mode wise profit, region wise profit. So every possible reports with regard to profit data, every possible report with regard to sales data. So Zoho Analytics fetches you all the possible reporting combinations here. So if you would like to modify anything, you can easily modify it and make it suitable to your need, right? So this is about the report creation part. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see how to create a dashboard using all this report, right? So let's see how to create the dashboard in this case. So let's move on. Creating dashboard is again going to be very simple. We have this easy to use drag and drop interface in the dashboard layout as well. So you can click on create and select dashboard. As I mentioned earlier, there is no limit on the number of reports or dashboards that you're going to generate. So you can keep creating as many as reports you want, as many as combination of dashboards you want. Okay, so this is the dashboard layout. Towards your left, you have all the reports which you have created, whatever has been auto-generated, everything will be listed out here. What we are going to do is just drag and drop them. For your easy understanding, we do have a GIF added here. So you can see that, or you have to just drag and drop the reports into this dashboard layout. So let's just add a couple of reports here. So we have a trend report, right? So let me drop it here. Okay, so you can place this report and arrange it in whichever order you want. So when I add a couple of more reports, you will be able to see. So I have another report here. So there's a heat map chart. There's also another kind of reporting option we have. So then we have a map chart, right? So you have sales across different regions. Then you have category wise sales, right? So this is how you keep adding the reports into your dashboard layout. So apart from just adding the reports, so here you might have noticed I can place multiple reports in a single line. I can have two reports side by side, one below the other. So you can arrange them in whichever order that you want. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some widgets to my dashboard. Widget helps me in highlighting the key metrics in my business. So I can click on add widget option here. There are 9 different widget template we have. So if I had to create a comparative widget or a target based widget, I can choose a corresponding option. For instance, I want to create a dial chart where I can specify the target and I can see how I'm moving towards my target. So you can choose dial chart option here, and under this data column you can choose the value. So I want to choose my total number of orders. So this particular dial chart is going to tell me what is the total number of orders I have got and what is the target for that month, right? So that's what we are going to create now. So you can choose the order ID count, and I want this data for different months. Okay, and here you can set up the metric here. What is the metric? What is going to be the value? And if you have any target, you can specify it here. So my target is going to be 100 orders per month, and this is going to be my maximum range. And under filter, I want to filter this data only for the current month. So if I'm viewing this report in December, that should tell me the data only for December. In order to make reports like that, you can choose a relative filter and select this month. So what happens is you will get the value only for the December month. And I can also edit this label here. So total number of orders for the current month. Okay, and you can also specify the colors for each and every range here. So when I take a look at this, I don't know in which range I am in, whether I'm in the 100% range or 75% range, right? So here you have the option to specify colors for each and every range. So you can choose the colors here. If you want, you can also pick it from the palette you have or any other colors that you want. So I want to choose 25, then 50, right? I can choose it from the palette. Then you have 75. So if you want, you can also select a new color, okay, instead of just picking out from the palette. And then comes 100. Okay, and you can also give some border here, and you can also modify the ranges here, right? So this is purely up to you, whichever value you want, you can give and make this bigger. So you can click on apply option and you get the widget here. Again, you can just drag and adjust this widget in whichever way you want. The next widget which you're going to do is going to get me the total sales amount across different months. So first widget tells me about the order count. The next widget is going to tell me how much did I make from those orders. So I'm going to select the comparative widget. You can take sales amount and I can view this across different months. Then again, I can choose the relative filter so that I just see the data for the current month and the previous month, right? For October and November. And this is total sales in. And if you want, you can choose some colors and click on apply. So the widgets can be placed like this. You can just select the widgets and you can give fit to width. So it automatically resizes in the order. Okay, so if you want to provide any background color for this widget also, you can give, right? So you can give some colors again. So this is going to be completely customizable. So you can throw your imagination level to decorate this report in any way that you want. All right. So this is about the widget option, and you do have an option to add some text box. So you can provide some title for this particular dashboard. So I want to name this as sales dashboard, and you can highlight this text, click on insert. This again can be dragged and dropped anywhere. So this text box can also be used for providing some information about a particular report or a particular chart. So you can give some text notes. Then you do have an option to provide some images. So any company logo or any image you would like to add, you can make use of this image option. Then we have something called user filter. Earlier we saw user filter for a particular chart report or a particular pivot report. But with regard to dashboard, I have multiple reports here. So if I want to filter all these reports based on a particular condition, then I can make use of this user filter option. For instance, I have this region, so I can also include some timeline filter. So what happens is when I take a look at this particular report, I can select a particular value. So when I choose region as East, I get the data only for the East region, right? This is how it works. So once this is done, you can click on save icon and you can save this dashboard and click on OK. Okay. So the next thing that we are going to explore is how are we going to share and collaborate these reports with our end user. There are different ways how we can share and collaborate. The first option is exporting this report in different forms. So you will be able to export this report in the form of a PDF or as an HTML. So depending upon the type of the report, the export option varies. Okay, so you have different options. options here. So in case of your dashboard, you will be able to export it as HTML or as a PDF. In terms of reports, you can export it as an CSV or as an image or as a PDF. Right. The next option is a very useful one, that is emailing reports from Zoho Analytics platform. So if I would like to email this particular dashboard to an user, I can make use of Zoho Analytics platform itself. So I can specify the email ID of the person to whom I would like to send this report. And here I can also schedule this email. So I don't have to manually go and send this report every time. The system does it for me automatically, right? So you can specify the interval, how often you would like to send this report. And you can also select the days, on which day you would like to send, at what time, everything, and click on Save Email Schedule. So automatically the report will be sent as an email on a periodic interval. The next thing is sharing this report privately with the user. So when I have a user with whom I would like to share this report with certain filter criteria, then I can use this option. So I can type in the email ID of the person to whom I would like to share this report. And here I can specify the permissions and filter criteria. So if I want the end user to just read the report, I can enable only this. Or if I'm fine with him drilling down the data, I can choose the corresponding option. So similarly, you can specify the permission level according to the user type. And here comes the filter criteria. So I have this dashboard with all the region data, but when I'm sharing this report with a person who belongs to the region East, I can specify the condition here. That is region equal to East, right? So what happens now is this dashboard will be filtered based on the condition region equal to East. So just give a minute. So the advantage of this is that when I have multiple region people, I can just share the corresponding region data with them. So I don't have to reveal the rest of the region data. So only the East region data is visible now, right? So when I change the condition as West, only West will be available. So a single dashboard can be shared with multiple people based on multiple criteria. And when you share a report, the end user will be able to access this report only by signing in into Zoho Analytics. So the number of people with whomever you share, all those people will be considered as a part of your user license as well. The next option is the publish option. So if you have a blog or any website where you would like to embed these reports, you can use this URL. So this is an iframe which can be embedded, and you will be able to see this reporter dashboard on that page. Then you have an option to share the reports via permalinks. So instead of a person logging in into Zoho Analytics to view the reports, you can also make use of this access without login option, where if you share this link with the user, and if the user is going to hit this link in the browser, they will be able to view the dashboard that is shared with them, right? So they don't have to log in into Zoho Analytics. They'll be able to view the reports as such. So this particular option is available only with the premium plan of Zoho Analytics. The next option is about creating slideshow. So when I have a presentation to be made, or I have a display unit on my organization, then I can easily create slides out of the reports using this particular option, right? So what happens is Zoho Analytics will create a slideshow which helps you in cycling through the reports one after the other. You can also set up this interval, that is a slide interval. So automatically it keeps moving based on that. So this is about the features and functionalities. Now let's go back to the presentation. I have a couple of more points to be covered there. So yeah. So coming to the pricing part, Zoho Analytics offers 4 different pricing model, and you can choose the pricing type based on the plan which you want. So depending upon the volume of data and the number of users, each and every plan are priced. So here we have the basic, standard, premium and the enterprise version. So for the basic plan starts with $25 per month, followed by the standard and the premium. The last one is the enterprise version, which comes for $495 per month. So with the basic, you get 2 users. For the standard, it's 5, followed by premium, which comes with 15 users. And for enterprise, it's 50 users. If you're going for the annual subscription, you do get a 10% discount on the overall pricing. So if you have any questions, you can drop it in the question box of the GoToWebinar control panel. And I'm also dropping you a webinar feedback form. So it would be really helpful if you could spare a couple of minutes in providing your valuable feedback on this webinar session. And if you have any questions also, you can just drop it there. So yeah, I've dropped the feedback form here. So I'm really sorry if you had faced any connection issues in the middle. So in case if you face any issues like this in the future, you can drop it in the question box then and there, so we will be able to address them. And I'm really sorry about what happened for today's session. And for your understanding, I can also share you the recorded version of this particular session, so you can go through that. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. So at present, it is not possible to join the data across different workspaces. So you can, so in that case, you need to have all the data imported under a single workspace. Only then you will be able to create consolidated reports. If you have any further questions, you can always reach us out through the following resources. So we are available 24/5 to provide you support for any queries or any questions you have got. So you can drop an email to support@zohoanalytics.com, or you can also reach us over the telephone through the following contact numbers. So I believe that today's session was helpful and informative. And I'm also dropping you this demo feedback form. Kindly spend a couple of minutes in providing a valuable feedback. And if there is going to be any area of improvement, we'll definitely implement that in our future webinar sessions. I thank you all for taking part in today's webinar session. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good evening. Bye bye.